G'day guys and gal. To say that the various sub-factions within the Imperium bump heads on occasion is the understatement of the millennia. It feels like the Imperium is fighting itself just as much as it fights the enemy, with various wars, both secret and public, constantly being waged between the various military wings of the Imperium. After all, Guilliman's return, the literal avenging son of the Emperor, who came back to mankind during its darkest hour, sparked a mini civil war as some of the High Lords of Terror try to overthrow him. Like, bruh. However, the civil wars are usually one-sided, unless of course it's when the Space Marines and the Inquisition take each other on, which happens so much that you would think they were enemies. Two powerful organizations outside of the chain of command, neither of which will back down. Entire chapters have been driven to the brink of extinction for merely questioning the Inquisition, whilst dozens of inquisitorial agents have met their end after prying too deep into the secrets of the Space Marines. It does make for some spicy lore though. Before we get started, if your skin looks mangled and you smell bad, life is going to be a lot harder for you than it should be. So I've once again partnered up with Joology to keep you looking and smelling your best with minimal effort and cost. Joology is a skincare brand that understands that us Warhammer fans are too busy painting minis or fantasizing about Henry Cavill to understand how skincare works, what moisturizers to use, what does each acid do, and so on. So it simply asks us to fill out a quick survey and then sends us a custom skincare routine to your door with very straightforward instructions. For me, I sometimes get oily skin and the Australian sun is brutal. So my moisturizer has sunscreen in it and it helps reduce the oil. I've used Joology for years now and I honestly way prefer it over the expensive premium brands. Like I've had gal friends that have swapped over to Joology because the ingredients are better. This is my skin when I started Joology and this is my skin now. I honestly think it's better than it was 4 years ago. Joology also has a range of fantastic smelling and high quality deodorants, body washes and shampoos. The deodorant works all day, you don't even stink when you work out with it on. The best part is that by using my link or code Majorkill70, you get 70% off your first skincare package as well as 50% off an additional product of your choice. That is insane value. Cheers to Joology for sponsoring this video. Today we'll go over every time the Inquisition and a Space Marine chapter have engaged in conflict, looking at why it started, whose fault it was, and who won. Let's get into it. We may as well start with the most obscene example of Inquisition vs Space Marines, that being the Months of Shame, an all-out war between the Space Wolves and the Grey Knights. After the first war for Armageddon, where the Space Wolves and Grey Knights teamed up to banish Angron and save the world, the Space Wolves wanted to honour the brave guardsmen and populace who endured, allowing them to live in peace. The Space Wolves had actually taken steps to ensure that most of the planet wasn't even aware Angron was attacking them. The Inquisition, on the other hand, had a zero-tolerance policy. Everyone in the world needed to be culled or forced into servitude to work themselves to death, ensuring no corruption could spread. Both sides had a point. Being on the same planet as Angron doesn't automatically make you a heretic, however a cull now could potentially save many culls down the track. The Wolves would not let the Inquisition fire upon the people, who the Wolves were evacuating while using themselves as shields. The Lord Inquisitor, his ego hurt, decided to fire upon the Wolves, escalating the conflict. The Wolves still held back and did not want to fight. It was only when the Inquisition requested a parley, then fired on the Wolves during the parley, did Logan Grimnar teleport on board their ship, murder the Grey Knight commander, who ordered the firing, and teleported away, did the conflict go to an all-out war. It ended with the Inquisition themselves invading Fenris and orbitally bombing it, causing Logan Grimnar to get so angry that he was able to sprint in Terminator armor as he began massacring Grey Knights before slaughtering the Lord Inquisitor. Bjorn the Fell-Handed was able to stop further bloodshed and bring both parties to an agreement. The Inquisition needed to fuck off and would not be allowed near Fenris again. The Grey Knights were ashamed that they, the chosen demon hunters of the Imperium, those who had the Emperor's own gene seed, were used to try to destroy a loyal first founding chapter whose only crime was protecting innocent Imperial citizens. I made a full video on this conflict a while ago, but it was absolutely fucking cooked to read about, and there was a pretty high element of retardation that I don't think we'll see again in current Warhammer lore. Now for a more tragic example, which has some strange potential undertones and real life comparisons that are a bit of an eyebrow raiser. This being the systematic destruction of the Celestial Lions Space Marine chapter by the Inquisition due to a mere complaint. What happened was the Celestial Lions were helping the Inquisition to root out a chaos cult. They did so successfully, slaughtering the heretics and saving the world. As the Lions were leaving, the Inquisition blew up the planet, killing everyone else left on it. This was due to the inquisitorial policy of the best ways to prevent corruption is to have no one left to corrupt. The Lions were horrified. They were very much a humanitarian, salamander-like chapter, hence they filed numerous complaints against the Inquisition and even tried to send a delegation to Terra to take it up with the High Lords. This delegation never made it, getting blown off course during a random freak warp occurrence and then destroyed, more than likely via the Inquisition intervening. When the Lions arrived to help during the Third War for Armageddon, they got fucked hard. Their orders were always corrupted or strange, leading them into Orc ambushes or against Orc forces way more powerful than intelligence suggested. Their Thunderhawks would also be randomly shot out of the sky by Imperial anti-air or orbitable weapons as accidental friendly fire. However, the worst would happen when the remaining chapter attacked what they thought was an Orc base that was building as of yet inactive Gargants. Turns out the Gargants were very active and turned on the Lions as they attacked. To make matters worse, Orc snipers started headshotting the chapter's apothecaries using high-powered Imperial snipers. So yeah, those weren't Orc snipers. Only 10% of the chapter survived, with absolutely zero apothecaries surviving, you know, the Marines were responsible for the chapter's continued existence. The Black Templars were horrified and suspicious of what happened to the Lions, with Grimaldus himself meeting with them. The Lions were adamant that they would die here, but Grimaldus did not want to see a noble chapter fall so easily, so he helped them counterattack the Orcs, killing the Orc war boss and ensuring that at least some of the Celestial Lions would live on. They were sent back to their homeworld to rebuild. But wait, there's more. With the opening of the Great Rift, the Celestial Lions' homeworld was invaded by chaos and was going to fall, so the chapter master of the Celestial Lions, who had saved them from Armageddon, organized a withdrawal and was speaking to a fellow Space Marine chapter about allowing them to resettle on their world. During these talks, an inquisitorial assassin appeared and cut off the chapter master of the Celestial Lions' head. Bruh. It's not entirely clear if the Lions survived or due to only having a handful of Marines left will disband. Either way, I don't think we'll hear from them anytime soon. Now, it was a bit of a strange decision of GW to bully these guys so hard. The Celestial Lions are the Black Marines. They are based on Africans and represent black people significantly more so than the Salamanders. So why were they relentlessly slaughtered into near extinction by a powerful oppressive organization for trying to do the right thing? Like the one African chapter gets their tits genocided off. Strange decision, but hey, props to the Inquisition for not seeing colour and just massacring whoever talks back to them. Can't tell if they are the most or least racist people in Warhammer. Now for a bit more of a feel-good story. The Dark Angels are all about their secrets, especially when it comes to the Fallen. Inquisitor Halleck captured a fallen angel and was told all about the Fallen and how the Dark Angels cover it up. The Inquisitor began travelling to Terra to unveil his findings, but was mysteriously attacked by an unknown enemy and killed. The only nearby Imperial force to investigate the incident is a Dark Angel strike cruiser, who says they can't find who killed the poor Inquisitor or where his prisoner went. Whoopsies. There's also a time an Inquisitor tried to pull rank on Azrael on Azrael's own ship. Did not go so well. Another funny story on a similar vein was when an Inquisitor arrived on Macragge and accused Varro Tigurius, one of the Imperium's most powerful librarians and a steadfast ultramarine, of heresy, purely because his ability to shoot lightning out of his dickhole was second to none. This did not go down so well, with the Inquisitor getting his hand cut off by Cato Sicarius when he tried to draw a gun in an act of dishonor. Even more of a clap now, we have the time an Inquisitor was investigating the Flesh Tearers due to reports of them being, well, the Flesh Tearers. They were accusing them of being traitors during the times the Flesh Tearers had fallen to the Black Rage and may have ended up team killing. In response, the Flesh Tearers captured the Inquisitor and then using a librarian, forced the Inquisitor to endure the Black Rage as a lesson as to why the Flesh Tearers were the way they are and the willpower it takes to resist it. The Inquisitor was then released and was pretty fucking traumatized. Another Inquisitor attempted to investigate what happened to the first one. They traveled on board a medical ship, and just as it was about to enter the warp, the Flesh Tearers boarded a squad of Death Company, those brothers who had fallen to the Black Rage, onto the ship. There were no survivors. Obviously. Just goes to show, Space Marines are willing to get just as down and dirty if you try to fuck with them as the Inquisition does. In older lore, we have what happened between the Sons of Malice and an Inquisitor. The Sons of Malice were pretty chill, but had a habit of occasionally engaging in cannibalistic parties. Look, we all have our fetishes. The Inquisitor tried to arrest the Space Marines, which was a strange idea, and was simply eaten for her troubles. The chapter was then corrupted by Malice, the chaos god of hating chaos. However, every few years, it seems they go from canon to non-canon to being back to canon again. The Inquisition has a lot of distaste for Loyalist chapters who have undergone mutation in some way. For example, the Black Dragons, a loyal chapter who happens to grow scales, bone blades, and other surprisingly handy tools. An Inquisitor tried to divide the chapter up between mutated and non-mutated Marines, which didn't end up going so well for the Inquisitor. This also goes along a similar vein to the Soul Drinkers, who had their fair share of mutations, which, yeah, to be fair, there was a chaos plot seeking to undo the chapter and bring them over to the dark side, but that doesn't mean the chapter wasn't allowed to tell the Inquisition to fuck off and then punch on when the Inquisition got a bit too nosy. The fact of the matter is, although the Inquisition has absolute authority, that doesn't mean people will obey that authority. The chapters are proud and strong-willed. They will not follow some snivelly-nosed fuckhead just because he waves around his inquisitorial rosette. It often reminds me of a situation people ask: if an Inquisitor and a Custodian meet, who is in charge? As both consider themselves second only to the Emperor. The reality is the Custodian, because if push comes to shove, the Inquisitor's ribcage will be shattered. Custodians shove hard. To a lesser extent, this also applies to Space Marines. Sure, the Inquisition is technically at a higher level, but it's a very tenuous authority. Overstepping it by bombing the Space Wolves, investigating the Dark Angels, or trying to arrest the Chief Librarian of the Ultramarines is the easiest way to get a one-way ticket to destination fucked. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be, where we have custom 40k fan arts, a bunch of live action nude cosplays, and a boatload of Battle Mace 40 million hentai. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more conflicting content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.